New York City is the birthplace of instant gratification. Before passengers were swiping for Uber, New Yorkers were hailing yellow cabs. And these days, as Silicon Valley finds trendy new ways to make late-night purchases easier, bodegas across our city have continued to do the same thing with no internet, no algorithms, and no VC funding. This convenience is never handier than on a Saturday when you don't want to leave your apartment, unless it's for something you really can't wait for Monday to get.
Oh, that was so good. Now I really want to read the book. Let's go down to the bookstore and see if we can get a copy.
Let us or let me go to the bookstore?
Well,
why don't we just download it?
Absolutely not. The last 3 books we read were e-reads. And besides, I want to feel something physical, turn some pages. And there are people there who can tell us if the book is worth buying or not.
That's what book reviews are for.
But I don't know those avatars. I know my booksellers, and they know me.
Dominique, e-readers were made for days like these when it's too cold to go outside.
It's not that cold.
Siri, what's the temperature?
It's 12 degrees outside.
I don't know her either.
All right, look, why don't we check to see if the library has any copies?
And wait, I am still 12th in line for Ready Player One as it is.
Well, you can go outside, but I'm not going out there. Besides, one day bookstores won't be around anymore because everyone's gonna be reading digitally. What are you gonna do then? Gotta get with the one-click click.
You see? You're the reason people think bookstores are becoming obsolete. And it's gonna be people like me, a reader who treasures the magic of her local bookstore, where the people recommend your books, not algorithms. And you can feel the beauty of the pages in between your fingers. And it's not like swiping on that lifeless, cold hunk of plastic and metal and glass. Because when someone opens a bookstore in your neighborhood, you support it.
Come on. Babe, nobody reads when the family feuds.
When you're a millennial, everyone just sort of assumes that your life revolves around technology. And so naturally, when you hear that millennials are out reading other generations, you'll probably think it's because of e-readers and smartphones. However, research shows that print books remain the most popular format for readers, even after hundreds of independent bookstores closed between 2000 and 2009, which we like to call the Great READ-cession. We're accessing and acquiring print books so much so that independent bookstores are now experiencing a resurgence. Even libraries are reporting higher patronage. But the thought still lingers. Will this resurgence last, or will indie bookstores become obsolete? The Great READ-cession from 2000 to 2009 saw the closing of over 1,000 bookstores across America. Research attributes this decline to the popularity of e-readers, the boom in chain bookstores, and of course, the lure of online retailers. But now, with all of these elements simultaneously in existence, the book market has presented us with the opportunity to really explore how readers want and choose to access books. Is it about convenience or experience? And with the increase of the number of independent bookstores opening since 2009, what are these stores doing right to compete in the age of instant gratification?
The shop is really cool. I've just been enjoying this cozy feeling ever since walking in, from like the smell to the music and then just seeing people waiting outside the doors. Can you give us a little bit more about the history of Moravian's bookshop?
So the bookshop actually we were started by Moravians that came from Germany back in 1741. So they settled in Bethlehem in 1741. 4 years later, they started the bookshop in 1745. It was basically set up to make their educational materials to teach the women and children in their community and the outreach into the community around to the Native American area. It's been all over the place. We've been continuously operating since 1745, so 272 years in business.
That is so cool.
Which just amazes people. They're like, what? How can that be?
So how do you cater now to the community?
Well, it's a whole wide variety for us. You have the people who are tried and true, who have been coming here for years. We have people who are in their 90s who have been coming here most of their life.
Oh, wow.
Then you get the Moravian College kids, the Lehigh kids who come over, check us out. Those who are avid readers, you know, love
Do they
coming
come
in
hang
here.
out? And
Yeah, we have like a little deli area. We have Wi-Fi,
Oh, cool.
you know, coffee. So yeah.
we did a bit of research and we saw like there was at a time 2000 to 2009 that people thought independent bookstores were sort of on the decline. Did y'all feel any of those rumblings?
We did not feel the decline until about 2008.
Okay.
Then we started to feel the decline. So for us, it was the whole economic drop. Then we had some lifestyle centers start popping up in the area, and B&Ns went in there. And then we had the Nook, the Kindle, you know, that all kind of hit us. So there was a 4-year period where we really saw a decline in books. We have happily seen a resurgence of that. You know, and I put a lot of that too, and maybe I put more stock in it than I should, but I feel it's the college kids. It's that generation. What I notice about them is they're back to the book. They love reading a book. They're writing.
Yeah.
You know, they want journals. They want paper.
Yeah.
So I think there's a great resurgence, and that age is going to help carry it through.
Well, Lisa, thank you.
Thank you, Dominique.
This was a lot of fun.
It was a pleasure having you.
I can't wait to get some books now.
Now we're back in Brooklyn at my neighborhood bookstore, Greenlight. Greenlight opened its flagship store in 2009 at the peak of the independent bookstore decline, and for nearly a decade has managed to not only become a staple for Brooklynites, but expand to a second location.
Well, Greenlight first opened in 2009. We opened in Fort Greene on Fulton Street. Greenlight actually announced that that we wanted to open a bookstore the exact same week that the banks collapsed in 2008. Wow. The timing also had a little bit of a silver lining where I think during, you know, that kind of economic crisis, people wanted something positive to latch onto, some small story, and I think for a lot of people we were it.
Yeah, and that's no small story because now y'all have 2 locations and that silver lining just seems to just keep threading along. How do you all find your footing in this neighborhood, especially, or like whether it's in Fort Greene or it's here? How do you meet the community where they are?
Our missions, you know, and our business model really is to be there for our communities, the communities that we're serving. You know, we can only do so much, but the community does the rest. At this location, we started doing a civic engagement series, and this happened right after the election. We noticed something in the air where folks needed a place to kind of talk about issues. And with the civic engagement series, we partner with one organization each month. It's usually a nonprofit organization who's devoted to some sort of civic engagement. And we essentially open up the store to them. We give them a platform to talk about their organization, their mission statement, what they're doing in the community.
How are y'all preparing for like the next generation of readers?
When I think about the new generation of readers, I'm thinking more about who those people will be as opposed to how they're going to be reading. You know, e-readers have been around for a long time, and at one point they were scary to a lot of people, a lot of folks in the bookstore business. But that isn't so much the case anymore. You know, I think readers have now discovered that they can read in multiple ways, you know, and so that no longer feels like the threat it once felt like.
What do you like about being a bookseller?
Bookstores are a great place to kind of capture the microcosm of the world, you know? So it's always stimulating. And for the folks who make the effort to come into a bookstore, we want to make sure that that's a good experience.
Perhaps it's just the natural ebb and flow of economic forces that determine the prevalence of brick and mortar bookshops. And now that we understand that bookstores can and will adapt with the times, I think it's safe to say we don't all have to be on the same page about where we get our next read. For now. Until then, remember to read or be read. The Great American Read is a new series on PBS about our most beloved books. It leads to a nationwide vote on America's favorite novel, so head over to pbs.org/Great American Read to vote for your favorite novel today. Check the link in the description box for more details.